Welcome back to Podcast Picture Stories. Today's going to be a long episode. Hang in there. Lot to go over. I'm going to pan out and show you my picture board that was put up in 2016 from the shoebox pictures that I had collected over the last 31 years. And we'll pan out and hang in there. We got some shit to cover. So pull up a seat, grab your beer, whatever, turn up your channel. We're going to start in 1992. Columbus, Ohio, Christmas Classic. A lot of you have heard of that. This was a pro section. Pro sections back in the day were built like in about 6 hours. No rhyme or rhythm. It was kind of like, hey, build it, and if the pros complain, then we'll change it that night. And this was one of those sections. Here we go. Next part of the pro section, Columbus, Ohio. The year, 1992. Tenet leading John Purse, Jason Donnell, and Alan Foster. Columbus, Ohio. We're going to drop down and just go as the pictures appear. Once again, Columbus, Ohio. MR.T jumping the pro set. I don't know if that was the first or the third. Usually they had 3 pro jumps in a row. And once again, they weren't measured, or they just literally built stuff that was like what are they thinking? And you can tell by my jump position that, everyone's jumping different. So that's Justin Green, Auburn, and Chuck E. Cheese, Charles Townsend. It looks like Charles is going to roll the pro section because based on his body position, there's no way in heck that he's jumping the pro section with that body position. As you see, Justin Green looks like he's casing, and I'm the only one that's going to clear it, doing the Bob Hanna jumping style. As you see, the Boss bike keeps appearing. So this was the bike I had in 1985 on Boss. This was a MR.T Boss. Carlo Lucia, who's now 82 years old, used to build custom bikes for the riders, meaning taking your body dimensions and riding style and building that bike to your liking, whether it was a shorter bottom bracket, longer back end, lower bottom bracket, or shorter or longer top tube. His son, Dean Lucia, had a frame called a Lucia, and that was probably one of the first 21-inch top tube bikes that never got recognized back in the 80s. Once again, another one of my factory Boss bikes, custom built. Notice the chain guard cover. No, that's not disc brakes in 1985. We wanted to have that appearance. So we used chain guard protectors off road bikes, 10 speeds, and put those on, and that became the thing for quite a while. So once again, something I won. I don't know if I was state champion or who knows, 1985. Can't go back that far. Here's 1982, local jump spot. That's how we did it back in 1982. Here we go. There's a date somewhere. Here's 1988. Calabasas Bike Park, San Jose, California. Well known. Hey, look at this. 1977 for those. 8 years old out in front of my parents' house. Look at that. Wooden ramp. Kind of can see it. I think I had a car tire under it. I'm wearing a jean jacket. Some corduroy pants. The bike is a Huffy Pro Thunder from a retailer called Maximart, which is the equivalent of Gemco, which became Target, which became Sam's Store, depending on your region. Notice the Cadillac in the driveway. Yeah, my dad drove Cadillac. So there we go. Palo Alto, California, Silicon Valley. Boss, Stockton, California. Local riding spot, once again, down the street from my parents' house. We had a jump called a hill jump, Palo Alto, California. The park was called Piers Park, and we built a gnarly lip, and that was the equivalent of a Harry Larry Leary. For probably 13 years old, or 1982. You do the math. Las Vegas, look at that. Las Vegas, 1980. There we go. My number was 300. It's a blurry shot. It's a Polaroid, so obviously it's, there's going to be some issues with the Polaroid. But anyway, Las Vegas Nationals, 1980. I'm going to drop down again. 1989, leading Cecil Johns, Texas. The Hutch rider is Richie Anderson. He was on Hutch for about 6 months. him and his brother. Here's Texas, Todd Slavic in second, Terry Tennant MCS. Texas once again, Tennant jumping the pro set, leading the group. Nice lead, front end up. You know, we were the front end up era. You know, now the riders jump nose down. Dropping down to 1984 Bakersfield, I beat Doug Davis. That was the first time I won like a big national. I beat Doug Davis and Billy Griggs. And that put me on CW. I got the call. And my dad negotiated the deal, $500 a month. He's like, you're not sponsoring my kid for free. Texas, this is called the Texas Tuck, I called it. Hans Nissen, riding for VDC. Richie Anderson on Hutch, Tennant on MCS. And I'm not sure of the other riders. But yeah, we got behind the seat where today's riders slam the seat. It just goes to show the difference in technique. So the end outcome is the same. It's just, you know, they prefer to have their seats all the way down, which I think is stupid. Anyway, Oregon, 1985. Rest in peace, Dana Griffin. Tennant on the inside. Not sure who's in second. Looks like a Harlow jersey. Might be Cody Smart for the time. Tennant testing a mountain bike, 1998. One of the first carbon fiber Scott European mountain bikes. First lockout fork, so you could lock out the front fork, Marzocchi. No one even had heard of them. And even back then, no one even knew what Scott was. So anyway, I was on top of it back then for mountain bike contracts. Oh, who remembers the Green Machine? Yes, my dad bought me a Green Machine, and there's his beer belly. That's right, there's my dad. Who knows how old he was back then? He was probably 40, but anyway, he bought his son a Green Machine. All right, we're going to move on from there to a local brewery shop. So this is where I used to go to happy hour in 2017. I'd ride my BMX there. Everyone thought I was cool because it's like, wow, man, this guy shows up on a BMX bike and drinks 6 beers and power wheelies home. So anyway, don't tell anyone. Here's 2000. A thing in San Francisco was called critical mass. Now they're called ride outs, you know, Tide Lines type of thing. So basically everything Todd Lines is doing. This was going on in San Francisco back in 2000, but they were called critical mass. So I bought this bike, which was the coolest bike on the ride. Yes, GT Flyer, 80-inch wheelbase. In 1992, I was doing rollerblading. I was the first one to jump out, as you see, the 12-foot ramp at the East Coast Woodward, Pennsylvania training facility. So yeah, that's Mr. T on rollerblades. And I was trying to be the first X Games guy, but it just didn't work out. I decided that I should stick to mountain biking and BMX. So anyway, moving up, one of my birthday parties, I got an Evel Knievel kit. Yeah, that's Mr. T with an Evel Knievel kit. Whatever that means for the time. On GT, sleeping. Yeah, Mr. T at rest. This was North Carolina, 1987. And then we move up to national number 1. Who remembers this guy? Bob Tedesco. Yeah, Bob Tedesco presenting Terry Tennant with one of 3 NBL consecutive titles. Not too many people back in those days won Elite Pro 3 years in a row. And then the 4th year, he won Pro Cruiser. And the reason why he didn't win AA, everyone goes, oh yeah, excuses. No, there's no excuses. I had a full-time mountain biking contract, okay? And at the end of the mountain bike season, I jumped into Pro Cruiser and still won the Pro Cruiser title with 9 wins. So yeah, so that's the story behind that. So here we go, Bob Tedesco. Sorry to say, I don't know if this was one of what I don't know what year this was. This could have been my first pro title. It could have been my 3rd. I don't really remember. So anyway, I got into a little bit of freestyle in 1983. This was a bike shop called Ray's Schwinn. Look at the quarter or whatever you want to call it, trick ramp. And that's me doing a one-handed kick turn, and that's Robert Peterson, who ended up being the team manager of Skyway's freestyle team. Robert Peterson, once again. This is me at Metcalf Motorcycle Park, San Jose, California. It's an enduro motorcycle park. It's not motocross, it's not supercross, it's enduro. So it's all trails. So just imagine riding 12 miles of mountain bike trails, but on a motorcycle. And that's what we were doing back in '02. Let's see, this is Darren Mitchell, 2001. We're in, I think it's like Wilmot, Virginia or something like that. But anyway, long story short, there we are. And that's how BMX pros used to look in early 2000, 2001. We still had that bodybuilding look. Now these guys look like Michael Phelps, you know. Basically no upper body, all legs. So Cecil, 1991, Gold's Gym, doing hack squats. Hack squats is probably one of the best ways to build explosive power and save your lower back, because his lower back is completely planted against the sled, and all you have to do is push with your legs and your calves. Look at his calves, how they're blown out, and look at those quads. Gnarly, dude. And people go, oh, well, that's not much weight. It's not about the weight, dude. It's how you move it and how quick you move it. And Cecil moves shit real quick. So he was basically doing almost like jump squats with that. And the sled weighs 90 pounds plus the 45-pound plate, so do the math, okay? He's doing jump squats with basically his body weight. This is a 160-pound, 5'6" guy. So yeah, there's the stories on that. Terry Tennant, Charles Townsend, John Purse. Townsend riding for Power Lout, John Purse on some bike shop, S&S, whatever that was. Tennant doing JT, riding for JT Vans, Tioga Kovaci, etc. And then we move into Orlando, Florida. Some characters. Jamie Staff on Haro, coming here from Great Britain. Tennant on the inside, pushing everyone up. John Purse holding on for dear life. And we have Foster, Danny Nelson, and Dale Holmes. So yeah, that's the significance of that picture there. So some pretty cool stuff on this wall. And we move down a little more. This is 1988 Texas head down finish line sprint. And you know, that's how we did it back in the day when the sport actually had pedaling in it. Now that would have been like 5 rollers, you know. Oh, that's right, it's called rhythm. Yeah, forgot. 1988, practicing with David Latimer at Calabasas Park. This is how we used to ride. See how we're like together? We almost look like we're welded together by today's standards of riding, but that's how we did it. Close quarters riding. So when you got to the national, you were used to riding elbow to elbow, shoulder to shoulder, arm to arm. So anyway, we're gonna move on down and finish out right here. Looks like 1992. Leaving the hotel, going to the track, knowing that I'm gonna double both days, and I'm pretty sure I did. Significance of the photo, I'm running a bonsai frame. This is no longer MCS. I'm working for a Brazilian aluminum frame manufacturer, and the frames are being built in Brazil and distributed out of Florida. And they didn't really make a dent in the market. You know, obviously everything's funding. I did get paid. They paid me $800 a month to race their frame and fork. And if you look close, that's an aluminum fork. And the significance of the fork was it had adjustable height. So it had kind of like a seat post clamp. Those sleeves on the fork, aluminum sleeves, could move up and down up to 20 millimeters. So you could lower your front end or raise it. And what that means in the big picture is that if you were running a 1.75 Comp 3 front tire, that's a smaller rise or diameter tire than a 2.25. So you could lower your ride height to the tire size. So if you're running a lower tire but you like the higher front end, you raise the fork up. If you rode a big tire but it felt like the bars were too high, you could drop the fork down. Obviously they never, you know, they were basically way ahead of their time. I think that would work well for today's UCI format. But what do I know? So anyway, thanks for chiming in. And this is my mom on her 89th birthday. You know, looking pretty good for 89 years old. Rest in peace, Mom. She's passed away a couple years ago. And then we're going to pan across real quick to Mr. T and his father. And rest in peace, Dad. Wow, you know what I mean? We're all at that age, though. You know what I mean? If anyone that's 50 plus, you know, sorry to tell you, but your parents probably got 10 to 15 years left. And mine have already moved on, but they provided me a great life, and I'm proud and happy to say that, you know, my parents did a great job. Cheers, and thanks for chiming in. And we'll be back for the next episode of Picture Podcasts.